Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen. So, this message is for those of you who just want to be able to lay back and relax and listen to, a little bit of smooth jazz in the background. Allow this to play into your subconscious mind. This message is going to be a little bit of guidance, just to give you a little bit of direction for those things that you might have questions about. So if you find that it resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section below. So many of you are currently in solitude for the most part. You may have people around you, but you might find yourself spending a lot more time alone. And during this time is giving you the opportunity to really, really think, dive deep and really analyze where you've come, where you've been, where you're going, where you currently are today. Analyzation is very important as you move forward because you may find that there's a lot of changes that are actually happening in your life. And these changes are requiring of you to be patient at this time. There's certain seeds that you have planted. You've been very intentional with your thinking. You've been very intentional with your actions, how you respond to things, how you perceive things. And because you've been intentional about these things, the Most High, your spiritual team, and the universe is working in your favor to bring great change into your life. And so there's a seed that's been planted that is definitely growing. Something is taking shape right now. And that seed can be internal as well as external. Many of you are creating a version of you that you are going to be very, very proud of. I feel like now is a good time to pat yourself on the back and to celebrate how far you've come. Sometimes we get so fixated and caught up in what we anticipate, what we want to create for the future, that we forget to just stop and take a moment to breathe and to analyze where we are right now in this present moment. Where you are today is a strong indicator of where you came from. And many of you are able to celebrate just off the strength that where you came from is no longer where you want to be. So that means that you have elevated, whether it's through your spirituality, the way that you view life, the way that you view yourself, how you allow people to treat you, and how you treat others. I'm pretty sure that many of you can attest to having a few things to celebrate at this time. So, of course, that roller coaster of life, okay? Life is going to bring you those ups and downs. That roller coaster, if you've ever been on one, there's that adrenaline rush that you feel. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, then you know that there's that adrenaline rush. You start at the bottom and you slowly elevate upwards, and the sometimes you scream the loudest going upwards because you anticipate what it's going to feel like when that elevator descends. You anticipate what it's going to feel like when your stomach is dropping, and you're just imagining yourself plummeting to the bottom of the earth. It's just one of those things. And so that's what life is like sometimes. You have those rides, but then you also have that smooth moment where it's just kind of coasting. And so it's really all about enjoying the ride and not trying to be in control of the narrative of things, okay? Because at the end of the day, we are spirits having a human experience. And the human experience is not always going to be predictable, of course. There's going to be unpredictable moments, and that's the beauty of life. So you want to enjoy these moments, okay? And just know that good things, blessings, good luck, however you want to reference it, it comes in disguise sometimes. Sometimes you think that everything is going wrong, but what's really happening is things are being cleared out so that things can go right. You know, In order to clear a pathway that's full of mountains or that's full of stumbling blocks, sometimes you got to take a big bulldozer and knock it down. And in those moments of change, it can be chaotic, it can be loud, it can be disruptive, but you want it to be disruptive because without the disruption, things will not move. And so just know that the changes that have been happening have not been in vain. You're going to be surrounded, and you probably have already been surrounded by many people who had various agendas, okay? And I'm pretty sure that trust has been a major factor, something that you've been learning how to reestablish, but also learning how to stand your ground and create healthy boundaries for yourself when you detect that someone's energy is not in alignment with you. I feel like your discernment is definitely on point. It's very sharp right now. Many of you, your spiritual eyes have opened, and so you're able to really see things. You can sense things. You can feel things before they even happen. And the more that you listen to those messages that comes through, the more that you listen to that intuition and follow that gut instinct, the stronger those spiritual gifts become. And you learn how to really trust that inner voice that the Most High Mother and Father has gifted you with. And so you may need to stand your ground because there will be people who wants to kind of bring challenges your way, largely because they can see that beautiful things are getting ready to happen for you. And a lot of these people are not very happy with what they see because they recognize that they have created a certain amount of karma for themselves. And they're having a hard time embracing the beautiful gifts that are coming into your life right now. Some of you may be seeing the number 555, which indicates change. And change, again, does not always feel good, but you want to stand in your spirituality, continue to balance out the spiritual and the practical things because I tell you, wonders, miracles, things that you could have never expected to happen are going to be taking place for you. And some people, depending on where you are on your spiritual journey, I think you've gotten to a place now where you recognize that what they call the supernatural is very much so real. And it happens so often on a spiritual journey where you have these encounters with things that you can never explain to the common person, that you start to realize over time that the supernatural becomes natural for you as a chosen seed. What's unrealistic to others becomes realistic to you. What's fantasy to others becomes reality for you because you now recognize that there's no separation between the spiritual and the physical when you go through your own personal transformation and you get to that place of connecting with your spiritual nature. You're no longer in your carnal nature where you're more focused on materialism and physical things. You get into that space where you're starting to listen to your higher consciousness and you're starting to tap in and connect to the Most High, your spiritual team, the universal, elemental, and cosmic energies. You start to see things from such a high and vast perspective that what seems like the supernatural becomes the natural. And so you can definitely anticipate that there's some great success and wonders and miracles that's going to be happening in your life because you've earned these things. You've cleared the pathway for these things. So you want to remain open to the beautiful changes that are happening for you. I'm also seeing that it's important for you, as I mentioned earlier, to give yourself credit for how far you've come. You're going to have people around you who are going to be critical of you. They're going to want to bring up your past. They're going to want to remind you of who you used to be. They're going to want to tell you that you have not changed, when in fact you know you have. They know you have. But the ego won't allow them to admit that. And so this is where you continue to create those healthy boundaries for yourself. Being comfortable with stepping into your masculine energy when necessary, and also utilizing your feminine energy, but also maintaining a balance between the two, but knowing who to use them with and how to use them, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual realm. I feel like many of you are very advanced when it comes to that understanding, and so Give yourself some credit for how far you've come because you have definitely taken a ride. This has been a roller coaster for many of you. And just know that, alone does not mean lonely. You might find that certain romantic partnerships are just not in alignment with you right now. But you've been praying, and I feel like you've been releasing past situations that maybe hurt you. They might have felt like they broke you down for a minute. Maybe you felt like you was at your lowest when it came to your love life. But just know the greater opportunities are going to present themselves in divine timing. The pathway is being cleared for you in many different areas of your life, not just romantically, not just financially. It's being cleared for you when it comes to even you attracting your soul tribe. There's always going to be people that want to resurface from your past, okay? Um, but I feel like you've learned enough lessons to know who to let back in and who to keep in your past. And then you've also learned enough to know who to keep at a far distance and who you can bring close. And a lot of times for the chosen seed, your circle is very small. Very rarely do you come across a chosen seed who has a really large circle in a spiritual realm, mainly because the journey is one that you take alone, at least initially. During a certain part of that journey, you're traveling alone because there's a lot of things that you need to see without distractions. And so if you used to have a large circle before you went through your transformation, you'll find that those people begin to fall off. Either they remove themselves or you end up having to place healthy boundaries to remove them from your life. But you also find that change begins to occur as a result of you making the sacrifices where necessary. And so some people from your past, they might have left you broken and they're going to try to come back into your energy, okay? Especially romantically, you might find that exes just show up out of nowhere. Um, and they want to get back into your energy because they see who you have become. You're not who you used to be. And it's very attractive, it's very alluring to others, whether they're from your past or people who are just watching you and they're impressed. They're attracted to your confidence. They're attracted to your uh, you being the rebel, you being the leader, you marching to the beat of your drum. That's very attractive to others, okay? And so you'll attract people from your past, but they're coming in seeing that you're no longer wounded. And so some of them may try to use the same tactics that pulled you in the past. And because your sermon is so keen and is so on point, you'll be able to see very clearly right away that they still have a lot of work to do and that they might just be testing you, or this could be a test from the universe to say, have you awakened enough? Have the lessons been enough for you to be able to decipher who's coming in with the right intentions and who is not? But you want to be okay with closing that door or at least allowing it to remain closed. They're going to knock for sure, but you don't want to dwell on what might be on the other side of a door that's already closed. Because when you pass the test of walking away from that thing, you're going to find that new doors open. And what you're going to discover on the other side of that door is potential, beautiful energies, new romantic relationships that are in alignment with you, new friendships, new people in your soul tribe that, if they're not blood related, they feel like family. You're going to find new opportunities, new creative ideas, new business partnerships. I mean, so many beautiful things are going to open up for the chosen at this time. What's happening on a global scale is a reflection of what's happening on an individual level. So just know, as above, so below, as within, so without. And so, as you can see, if you look around, there's a lot of changes that's going on globally, and it's disruptive energy. And many people are asking questions like, why? Why is this happening? And oh, is it painful? And oh, is upheaval and it's disorder? But just know that things have to be broken down in order for new things to be built. The chosen, we're in the process of forming and structuring a new kingdom. And of course, as you all know, the kingdom starts from within. We first build the temple within ourselves. We are the temple that gets built up first. And then each one, as individuals, begin to come together and build up the kingdom that all of us will dwell in right here on earth. And so the disruption and the chaos, that's that same energy of that roller coaster ride. It's the same energy of those stumbling blocks that have to be bulldozed down in order to clear a pathway. And so just know that beautiful new beginnings are going to begin to happen for those of you who stay the course, okay? Definitely something exciting is getting ready to come into your life. Um, and I feel that it's going to definitely put you in a state of mind where you're no longer concerned about the past. Like whatever this is that comes into your life, you're going to be very excited. It's going to feel good. Um, it's going to reawaken that youthful spark that you may not have felt in a long time. Consider some of you may end up being tempted by your past in a very sexual manner, okay? And if you've been alone for a period of time, that energy could be very tempting. It'll be very tempting for you to entertain that energy. But I want to encourage you to hold on to your sexual energy because this is a test. It's something that you want to think it through. Really analyze it. Is that moment of pleasure? Is that moment? Because remember, sex, if you're talking about, somebody that can go for a decent amount of time, okay, you might go 2 or 3 rounds if you haven't had any in a long time, right? Obviously, those of you who are listening are grown. But consider once the thrill is gone and you get off of that ride, what is left? Likely you'll feel depleted. Likely it's going to put you in that position where you start to dwell on what's on the other side of that closed door. Likely that person will be energy harvesting, siphoning all of that beautiful creative energy that you've stored up by not directing your sexual energy towards a low vibrational being. Remember, the people from your past that you've walked away from, they have a whole lot more work to do. And so they have yet to go through the transformation. And so likely they may only have the only thing that they can offer to you is a thrill, a moment of pleasure that is not going to be enough to sustain a long term healthy relationship. And so do not allow your lower nature to get the best of you and cause you to go back and to reawaken something that has already been put to rest because you are now free. And your freedom is taking you into a totally different direction. Birds of a feather flock together, and you are not of the same fold as those people that you've been drawn to move into a different direction from. And so you want to consider if you open up the door to that person, it feels like they may just come in, siphon your sexual energy, bring you back to a low vibrational state just to get you refocused on them, and then they're off. They're off doing their own thing all over again. Because for them, they was used as a pawn by the enemy to distract you from moving towards this brand new beginning that is going to take patience for you to get to. So sometimes when things seems like they're moving a little bit slowly, it's easy to get tempted to go and do something that feels good in a moment to distract you. But there's so many other ways that you can fulfill yourself without entertaining low vibrational beings that'll just likely take you backwards. So really consider that because I feel that that temptation is coming through. This is the time to speak your desires into existence. I don't think people realize how potent the energy is, how how much you're able to put out into the universe in terms of creating at this time. Like you are the alchemist. You have the ability to manifest at a much faster rate at this time. And so, this is why it's so important to be careful of what you think about. Analyze your thoughts. Are they in alignment with what you want to create, or are they in alignment with what you don't want to create? Because consider that either way, you will be creating both, okay? Regardless. And so, if you are not careful with what you're thinking, you will create what you don't want rather than what you do want. And so, I encourage you all to pay attention to that. This is the time where in your solitude you can really be focused and building on your creative gifts and your creative ideas. And the good thing about withholding your sexual energy, whether it is practicing celibacy or being very careful about who you share it with, one of the good things about being in solitude though and withholding your sexual energy is that that creative energy continues to build and it grows. um, and it's like your creative ideas become that much more vivid, that much more expansive, and you become more passionate about what you're working on. If you give yourself permission to redirect that sexual energy towards your gifts, you will find that it's like an explosive amount of creative ideas that comes through. Sometimes you have so many ideas that come through that you don't know what to do first. But fact of the matter is, you can do all of them. You might just have to prioritize your time differently in order to make it happen. And so, being distracted by people of the past, low vibrational energies, unhealthy communication, arguments, things of that nature, all of that is just draining your creative energy. And you know, with those people that's coming in as pawns, what they're going to do with that energy, they're going to take it and they're going to feed it right back to the beast that is currently dying, the beast that is currently starving, the beast that the powers that were used to fuel their generator. It was like their generator to keep their system going. So there's going to be temptations that comes in that wants to take all of that creative energy that you've been storing up, and they want to siphon that creative energy. That's why it's important for you to be very intentional about what you do with that energy. Do not use your sexual energy or your creative energy towards individuals who are low vibrational in frequency, because they are only being used as pawns to feed it back to the beast that is currently dying. Remember what I told you, because there will be temptations. They're coming, and you will be tempted to entertain it because you might be growing tired of waiting on something, whether it's waiting on that love to come in or waiting on that creative idea to begin to blossom, okay? Or waiting on, maybe even figuring out what you've been placed here to do, whatever it is growing. But it's going to take for various changes to happen, and you're being tested. I feel like there's a test coming. You don't want to spend too much time in despair on the past things. Just, if you have to feel something, go through it, analyze it, allow yourself to feel it. Don't beat yourself up, but then release it. You all know that I talk about writing things down and burning them quite often, and it's a very, very helpful method, um, very effective actually, in order to clear out any energy that's blocking you, whether it's internal or external. You put it on paper and you clear it. And so if you find that the past comes in and it brings up old emotions that makes you, it's like it's a temptation to send you back into the past, into past thoughts that didn't feel so good. Analyze it, but let it go. And also consider, you are ready. You are ready for this new beginning. You are ready for this massive change that's getting ready to bring miracles and wonders into your life. So let go of the idea that you're not ready, because you are. You have everything that you need to walk through those new doors that are opening for you. Everything that you've learned, every lesson that you've gone through, all of it was divinely fated to lead you up into the place that you are right now. And so none of it was by mistake, none of it was in vain. And you want to give thanks for that. New partnerships are coming through. And I feel like this is why it's so important to release the old partnerships, because the new partnerships, you can't grab hands, or you can't open up your hands to receive the new if you're still clenching to the old. So release. This is the time of releasing and shedding. We're in the fall season, and so we are mimicking the seasons as well. It's harvest season, but it's also the season of releasing. And so consider how that works. In the fall, we're talking about harvest, reaping and gaining the benefit of those seeds that you planted all year. You waited for them to grow. Now they're here. That harvest is plentiful, but it's also going to take a shedding that needs to happen in order to prepare you for the next season. So what you're shedding is the past. You're shedding old thoughts, old belief systems, old ideas that just no longer serve you. People, places, and things that can't go with you. You're freeing up space in order to make room for the harvest. And so, just this is why so many people from the past want to come back in at this time in your life. It's not just ex lovers. We're also talking about others, people that you had to release because you recognize that they were not in alignment with where you're headed. Consider, they recognize, they see the harvest is plentiful. They know that you have an overflow that you are getting ready to collect. But they also know that the likelihood of them getting a piece of that is very slim. And so for them, it's like, well, if I can keep them holding on to the old, then you won't have room to collect the new. And so it's an ego thing for them. If they know that if they can't get it, then they feel just as good about you not gaining access to it if they can't have none. So it's like misery loves company. And so they want you to remain in their company by any means necessary, even if that company is arguing, fighting, rehashing the past, going over things that's old news, you know, trying to remind you of who you used to be. I mean, that's all of that is to keep you focused, turned around, focused on the past when all of these changes are happening right now so that you can collect. Y'all got a great harvest out here. I'm talking about an overflow harvest that you've earned, that you've worked for. You planted those seeds. You did that work through every transformation that you've gone through every good deed that you did for others, through every good thought that you had for yourself and for others. Every good deed that you did for yourself was you planting a seed towards your harvest. Everything that you've done on behalf of your ancestors to set them free was you planting massive seeds towards your harvest. Every good deed that you did for other chosen seed when you prayed for them was planting massive seeds towards your harvest. Every lesson that you helped to teach others, every word of encouragement that you gave others, every part of your lesson and your testimony that you shared with others was you planting a seed towards your harvest. And so it is harvest reaping season. And those people who try to block you from getting it recognize that you have an overflow. It's going to be to the point where you have enough to give, to share with as many people as you want to share with. But the fact of the matter is, you now have discernment, and you have an appreciation for the understanding that you don't cast your pearls before swine. You don't just go out sharing those things that you worked hard for with those who did nothing to earn any portion of your abundance. You share it with those who are deserving of it, and you will know the difference. The separation of the wheat and the tare has already taken place. And so there's no need to go back and intermingle yourself with the wrong types of energies, because you don't want to get swept up in that energy as Babylon falls. You want to continue to keep your eyes forward, continue to move forward, even if it seems like it's taking a minute to get there. Trust and believe the wait is so worth it. Remember, time does not exist. It's all in our minds, in this matrix that we've lived in. It's convinced us. that time is of the essence. Everything is all about time. But once you step outside of that matrix, you begin to realize that timing is fluid, it's not linear. And so everything is happening simultaneously all at the same time. The past, present, and future is all happening at once. You can easily time travel into the past if you wanted to. Right now, you could sit here and go back to when you were 6 years old, and it'll be as if you're right there because the mind does not know the difference between whether or not something is occurring today or whether it occurred yesterday, depending on the emotions that's felt with that thought. You can time travel into the future and step into that vision of what you're creating for yourself right now. You can be there right now, present right now, wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you sit, it doesn't matter what your current circumstance looks like in the physical realm. You can literally time travel to the future and place yourself exactly where you desire to be. And that's how you bring it closer. That's how you manifest. That's how you call it in, by allowing yourself to sit in that energy and making it a reality in your mind. It will eventually become a reality in your present moment, in your 3D experience. But consider it's also going to take the effort, not just the visual, but also the effort. And so sometimes we have the picture in our minds, but the energy and the effort to actually move towards that thing is lacking. And that's only because there's certain things that needs to be done spiritually in order to get you in alignment with that energy so that you can move in on it. And so the spiritual work would likely consist of healing your sacral chakra, healing your root chakra, doing inner child work so that you don't self-sabotage your desires and your visions. You know, healing the solar plexus so that you're more courageous and confident to move towards new things that might be outside of your norm. It might be outside of what you've ever done before. It will take a bold move. It will take that rebellious spirit that is not worried about what others have to say. No longer worrying about the naysayers, but just stepping out there and moving towards your vision. It would definitely take the practical effort. And so be willing to do something different. Be willing to go against the norm. And that willingness to do something different is going to take you towards a foundation that you never could have imagined. But it's going to take for you to dive deeper, really look at yourself, analyze yourself, look at your surroundings, look at the people that's in your circle, look at the relationships that you've called in, analyze them from a real perspective. Get out of your own way, get out of your emotions, and look at it from a higher perspective. Is that relationship, is that friendship, is that job, is that career conducive to your growth, or is it stunning your growth? Is it conducive to you learning more, or is it stunning you from learning more? Is it conducive to you being the most authentic and transparent version of yourself, or is it keeping you stuck in the past version of who you want to release? Analyze those situations. Is it something that's only bringing you momentary pleasure? It feels good sometimes, but most of the time it hurts. If that's the type of situation that you find yourself in, then you know it's time to make cuts and it's time to make changes. But you have the keys. You've been given the keys to the universe because you will use them responsibly. And those keys is you being able to alchemize and transmute any energy, whether it's internal or external. You have the keys to change it, to shift it, and to create a vision and to manifest not just that vision in the spiritual realm, but to manifest it right there in your physical experience. So that's my message for you all. I hope this get brought you some clarity. Um, I'll just end it with telling you that you may be wondering if this is the right time to pursue that creative idea. The answer is yes. Take that vision and turn it into a masterpiece. You will have everything you need to invest in your passions. All you have to do is come out of mental conflict and invest in your idea. The seeds you plant now will reap an abundant harvest later. Okay? That's my message. I love you all, and I will talk to you all next time.